You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
All right, here we go. It's Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. Tick-tock. We get closer and closer to the trade deadline. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, presented by Bet365. This is Leafs Morning Take. How are we feeling on this Tuesday, Rosie? How
do you think we're feeling, man?
Fine, dandy. Time change on Sunday. I feel great.
What's to do with this team and this show? It's I feel like people in the market are just getting more and more resentful towards this group. Do you feel that coming on?
Pretty much. It's like pulling teeth watching this team play hockey. It's such a weird feeling. Like I can't even recall like it was 10 years ago where I'm just watching a team play out the schedule, and it's not a great feel. Like even after the deadline, they still have 19 games left, and because we cover this team, we have to watch. But that's the worst part about this. It's not like they're a run and gun team and they're going to play 6-5 hockey. They play the most painful brand of hockey you can imagine, and there's just so much left in this regular season too.
Yeah, and they can be boring and lethargic at the best of times with their season on the line. So this is going to be pretty interesting seeing this group come down the stretch with nothing on the line. Obviously that trade deadline's in our sights. After that, it could get pretty bloody painful, to be honest. But we'll see what they look like, who they have on their roster, who's playing for them, who's coaching them. See all kinds of things like that, which we can kind of plan for, prepare for, look forward to. But yeah, after that, whoever's on that roster, I don't know, maybe it's a bunch of Quillins and younger guys, and Easton in a bigger role, which doesn't seem to be really on the docket, but maybe we'll be able to see someone emerge and talk about them. I don't know. I'm absolutely grasping at straws right now because of the bullshit that they have fed us this entire season.
Who exactly is emerging for you in your chaotic world?
Who is emerging for me on this roster? I don't know. I guess just Easton Cowan. I mean, there's been the narrative around him, like, why isn't he playing more? The season's over. I guess you could showcase other people and other players coming up to the deadline. But after that, you got to try to get this kid some experience, some reps, some confidence. I hope that is on the docket for that kid, because you don't have a lot of prospects and you got to manage the ones that you do have as best as you can. And I think in the situation that they find themselves in, gaining experience and repetition is probably the best thing for that kid right now. And obviously they got other things going on. I've been quiet about Cowan and the way they've handled him, because I'm thinking they need to have other people play ahead of him and showcase him, people in a different position than him for the trade deadline. And okay, that makes sense. But after that, I hope that their handling of Cowan looks a little different.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the showcasing's done. I don't know what else teams want to see from this collective group of players that's going to decide the fate of whether they make a trade with the Maple Leafs or not. I never understood that. You have all season, and now's the time where you have to showcase and figure out what these guys have. But anyways, our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. Did you learn anything from the Connor Murphy trade yesterday pertaining to Brandon Carlo? Is there any correlation for you? I know Murphy's 32, Carlo's 29. For me, it opened up unnecessary wounds to last year where the Maple Leafs paid a premium to get Brandon Carlo, and you see him go for a second-round pick. Did Connor Murphy yesterday from Chicago to Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, the more time passes, the more that those trades at the deadline last year haunt you, you know. Even seeing Grebenkin talking to the media and knowing like kind of the piss and vinegar that kid had, and you never know what a guy's going to turn into. To give him up Minton and 2 firsts for what we got, and then to have this season, it stings, man. And I'm not throwing slurs at Tree Living, because at the time, you know, we all collectively, we felt close and we needed a couple of things to get us over. You know, we needed some tenacity and some jam and some leadership and some personality at the center position to come in up front, and we needed a right-handed experienced defensemen that could be reliable. We needed that bad, and we found 2 of them, and we said we are going to be the highest bidder for those guys to ensure that we have them on the roster, to ensure that we said we have given them a chance to win. That's what he did. Hindsight, obviously 2020, but you look at what Carlo has brought to the table, and everyone likes Scotty Lots, but, he's playing 9 and 10 and 11 minutes a night, and, teams know better because of it, and we are down some serious assets. So then, and then you look around the league, as you say, and you see other D-men with, 800 games of experience and pedigree or whatever you want to say, right-handed shot, all the rest of it, the things that people are looking for go for considerably less, but timing is everything. We were in a jam. We put our hand up in our bidding paddle the most times to make sure we were the last one holding it, and it cost us a premium, and it's biting us in the ass, man. It's there's just a lot of darkness in the situation that the Leafs are in right now. You could go up and down from, take your pick, man. Where's the silver lining? From the way MLSE is handling things, to the general manager, to the coach, to the captains and assistants, to the leaderships, to the trades they had, to the new additions, to the lack of prospects, the lack of draft. It's just, it really happened fast, didn't it? All of a sudden, they have a stutter step of a season, and people step back and look and say, this is a goddamn disaster.
Yeah, and it just feels like it's the party's getting started too. That's what concerns me. I understand this whole perception, this narrative the organization wants to create, that we're going to come back strong next year. We're going to try to make the playoffs. It's one thing to try. It's another thing to execute. And I don't know what trades you can make today or this week or even in the summer that's going to expedite the process where the Maple Leafs suddenly are back in the driver's seat making the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because you look around this division specifically, Montreal's on the upswing. Doesn't look like Tampa's going anywhere. Buffalo's finally, we think, going to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Ottawa's in the middle ground, but they got some pretty good players. So you do the math. Detroit taking that next step this year. You do the math, and it's not in favor of the Maple Leafs getting back in this scenario next year. Like that's what concerns me, is like how long this is going to take. It's one thing to say we're going to be the Boston this year. It's another thing to go out there and do it and execute. And that's what honestly scares me, man.
Yeah. And what you just said there is your ceiling of what the goal is just to scrimp into the playoffs. That's where we're at now. Mm-hmm. And, I remember saying last year there was a lot of bitching happening and stuff. And I tried to remind myself and then, verbalize that after, hey, don't take this for granted. This is pretty good, having a team that's cruising here, that other teams don't like to face, that is up at the top of the division, that you don't even think about the playoffs. You just think about what you're going to do in the playoffs and how far can you go and how many tiny tinkering pieces are you away from thinking that you can win the Stanley Cup. That's a pretty fun place to be. Yeah. And I think I said a couple of times, appreciate this. There's some dark times that teams go through, and everyone does go through them, some more than others, obviously, but it's fast. It's funny how fast it changed. And there might be a little bit to what MLSE is saying. Hey, this year's kind of a one-off, talking with Vic before, with Andy Strickland was on a show saying this is the weirdest year ever. The product out there is completely different than it normally is. And, the schedule and the Olympic year can probably cause that. None of these guys are used to that by any stretch. So you could lean towards this being kind of a one-off product in the entire league, and things could be different next year. I'm not saying, to the point that what Keith Pelly might want to project to the market that, hey, a couple injuries and we're back at her next year and we believe in this group. I'm not saying that, but things could look different next year. The league could look a little different. This team will look different, and I don't know what they're going to bring to the table. Nobody knew this was going to happen. There were some people that had their doubts just because they think Marner's the greatest, and he moves on, and now you're automatically saying this team's going to be bad. But no one had this on their bingo card, so I don't know what is on the bingo card for next year. But I hope they make positive changes. I hope they can bring in some players onto this team, and I'm not sure how they're going to do that, through trades or just through free agency. But I hope they bring in someone you can get behind and be excited about, and at least have some positivity towards, saying that guy's going to fit in this market well. And I like what he brings to the table. And man, there's a lot of options with him on where he could be and who he could play with. But I mean, again, we're grasping at straws here, and like you just mentioned, like the goal now is to scrimp into the playoffs all of a sudden, which is a far cry
Crazy.
from where they were last year.
Really is crazy, and the expectation has changed tenfold. Like for me, I'm all about winning a Stanley Cup. I could care less if you get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Are you a legitimate threat to do anything is my bigger and grander question. Obviously, for others, it's not. Maxentius Decimus, thank you so much for the super chat. Going all in every year, and losing, and here we are. I mean, that's a valid point.
Yeah.
Every year there's this scream for going all in. What is all in? Well, we know what all in is. And I think last year was all in, trading the 2 first-round picks, getting Lawton, getting Carlo. Maybe in the back of their minds, too, they knew this is the final kick of the can with Marner. And they got pretty damn close, not close enough. Game 7 against the Florida Panthers, round 2. You're only still halfway there. It just shows you how difficult this league truly is, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the people that thinks they were a lot closer than people will give them credit for last year. Fuck, you're up a couple of goals in Game 3 with 2 games up on the Panthers, man. Obviously, they didn't do it, so that's the only thing we know for sure. But if they find a way to close that series out, I mean, Carolina and Edmonton, roll the dice, man. They were close. And people can laugh at that and scoff at that all they want. That's fine. And they didn't get the job done. And they had they did what the Leafs prove that they do. And that's botch it, screw it up, give it away, and be complete ghosts in those elimination games where the moment is too big for any of their compete level and they just stand there with blank looks on their face and get fucking shelled. That is what happened. But I can't blame the Maple Leafs for doing what they did. I was sitting here going, you need to take a swing. There's no point in getting to this point and then pussyfooting around. You got to try to win. I think it was their time to win. They took a swing. They missed. I just keep coming back to like, well, why? Well, you're watching it right now with the Matthews and the Nylanders. They're just fuck. They're pretty ho-hum. Like they're just not dogs, and it's been a theme, and it's the only constant throughout this whole era of the last decade is that attitude and mentality towards the game, and it's frustrating. It pisses me off, and it's one of the big questions that I have is if you just tweak around those guys, what the hell is going to change? That's my question. How are they going to change? They come back from the Olympic break, and they need to win those games. The Tampa, the Florida, the Ottawa, and it is pathetic again, and people are disgusted. Who's ever won a cup with that? Who has any amount of that in their history, in their scrapbook? Nobody. And these guys have a fucking laundry list of embarrassing efforts and being complete ghosts and having everyone wonder what the hell's going on with them. Nobody who wins the cup. Like, tell me a guy who wins the cup and leads their team to the cup who has this track record of being invisible and being a ghost and being soft and having no compete level and not giving a fuck. Like, doesn't happen. And that's what concerns me as they go through whatever the hell it is they're going to do here.
We're too hard on these guys. That's the consensus in the hockey world. We're too hard. And I totally agree with you. At any rate, we have Bruce Boudreau coming on in about 15 minutes. He's been in this sort of predicament, this scenario that Craig Berube finds himself in right now, Rosie.
Was anyone too hard on Wendell Clark? He didn't win a Stanley Cup. Was anyone too hard on Darcy Tucker or these guys from the past? Was anyone too hard on them? Why wasn't the media too hard on them? It was still the center of the hockey universe. They didn't win anything. Why wasn't anyone hard on them? These guys fucking come in like it's a fashion show and then flippantly say whatever, and then show even worse. And we're not allowed to address it apparently. So that annoys me because this market has proven that you give effort and you give your best, and no one will be hard on you. They will applaud you 20 years later still, even if you didn't win anything. They need the passion, they need the effort, and that's what this group has been lacking, and that's why I am hard on them, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's my pushback too, is like, okay, people think we're too hard in the team. So what's the explanation? What's the debrief after the game against Florida? What do I come out and say after the game against the Ottawa Senators? Do I just look past? Yeah,
don't mention it. Protect them. Go.
It's weird. I don't know. Like I think that pause was deliberate there because it's rhetorical. Like I don't know what people expect from the media in this market. Granted, I think there are people that cross the line. We've had some heavy takes in the past and this year specifically too. But I think we're fair in the coverage. I just don't know how to tackle things when I see something like Thursday or even Saturday. Like we're going to break down the game briefly here. I'm not going to go and shit on them about yesterday. I mean, there's a lot of positives you can grab from that game if you want to do that. They're missing the Stanley Cup playoffs. They're playing out the string. They played with more pride last night. But there have been so many games along the way in, say, the last decade where you leave puzzled and you come back and you're like, okay, as somebody who covers this team, what do I got to say? How do I handle it? And I think we've been fair in that handling where you have to call out the effort level and call out the desire and the pride and the will to win. It's just, it's fair analysis, I think.
And we and people like us have been called homers for, having false belief and not addressing the deficiencies that people think the team clearly has and choosing to ignore those and rallying and getting behind the team. We've been called homers. We've been called delusional because when they show things and give signs of what we want to see, we get behind them and we say, hey man, like maybe that is kind of what we've been looking for. What if? And then people shit on us for that. And then they do what they did, post Olympic break. And we just say what we saw. Like you think, you're not allowed, like, what's the point of doing a show if you're just going to be a homer? Like we're not like the Leafs TV where we employed by the team and we rah them no matter what and spin a yarn and show the sunny side no matter what. We're just completely honest. When they're good, we talk about it. When they're bad, we talk about it. And I have stopped caring if people get mad at me for, pointing at certain players where, I mean, the track record is what it is. The season is what it is. They have done what they have done with the games that they have played, and now they stand here with the results. I mean, it's not me causing or creating anything. They're the ones. Like, why are they in this spot again? Sorry. It's how have they lost all these games? Why are they not even remotely in a playoff position with 20 games left? Because of how bad they've shit the bed. How poor their efforts have been, how non-prepared they were to play a hockey game, how untogether they could come and put together a performance together with the chemistry and with the commitment. They've been dog shit this year. And now they're laying in the bed that they made and we're not allowed to talk about it. So I won't do that. I'm not going to do that. I won't do it. I think it's ridiculous. If anyone, we just roll with what we're given. What we sit and we watch and we hope. And then if it's bad, we say it's bad. So I don't know, man. There's more to come. Like, fuck me. There's more to come of that. Look at the position this organization is in. And it's unfortunate because I don't like to be negative. But I mean, there's things that MLSE has done that is very questionable. There's things that Tree Living has done is questionable. There's things that Berube is doing that's questionable. And there's things that the leadership in that group all the way down to the last guy. And it just really sucks right now to have to cover it and talk about it and then to get flack that you're calling it like it is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around with this team for sure. Rayhan writes in support of sick kids. Let me just pull this up. What are the fans' media for Leafs harder than EU soccer? That's a fair question. I'd even throw the New York Yankees into that conversation, but it always is a topic du jour in this market. John Gallagher, thank you so much for the super chat. If we trade 34 and 88, what does he expect to return? Got to be a good young player, lottery pick, and vet, or first and second next year. It's not happening right now. Maybe in the summer. I don't see a scenario right now where it happens. But as mentioned, we got Bruce Boudreau coming up in about 10 minutes here at the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, Leafs Morning Take. Wherever you find your podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social, the perfect spot to fuel up before the game or wind down after work. Located right across the street from the arena and just steps from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal, Table Fare and Social offers a wide selection of food and drinks with space for large groups and a family-friendly atmosphere. Next time you're off to a game, check out Table Fare and Social, a downtown food hall right across from the arena for some great pregame bites and drinks. I was laughing at the broadcast last night on Prime because, they couldn't spruce up the crowd noise. It was a mausoleum in there, and understandably so. And number two, the way they talked up the game really build it up as two teams in dire need of 2 points for a playoff spot. I'm sorry to break it to everybody. Philadelphia's missing. So are the Maple Leafs. But what a snooze fest. I felt for people who had to pay money to go watch that game last night. I know the Leafs give them hope. They score late via the power play, but it wasn't a Picasso. That's been a theme throughout this season.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The time to win was earlier. Yeah. Sometimes it's like embarrassing. It's like you can't beat the Flyers with, you stack up William Nylander and Austin Matthews. It should be one of the best lines in the world. And whatever, they get a chance or two, but they just fall short. And then on the other hand, you're like, well, what do you expect? Like they're in the position they're in. They're not playing for anything. They're toast, and they don't play hard at the best of times with their whole season on the line. So what do you expect in a game like that? I don't know. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what the team looks like after this deadline, what the narrative is, what the motivations are, and what they put together and what they show us. It'll be interesting. I'm hoping there's some kind of turn of events or some kind of light shone on something. But yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't put a lot of stock into that game. There's going to be a few of those coming down the stretch where neither team gives a shit, and it's pretty bad because there's 20 left, and it doesn't go by quick, and you need to find reasons to be motivated and to try and to care, and that includes us on top of them and all the fans that are watching. It's a place that we didn't expect to be, so I think there's a little bit of shock involved as well.
The latest drought for Austin Matthews now up to 8 games. He hasn't scored since January 27th against Buffalo. 1 goal in the last 12 games. Again, you're paying this guy a lot of money and mostly to score goals, and just hasn't been the same guy. He had that stretch for about 10 to 15 games around mid-December, early January, where he looked like he could potentially be back, and it's concerning because he's just another player sometimes. Not to say he was last night. He had some opportunities. He had that sort of, cross his body shot trying to go shelf in OT, but he was dog tired. And for some reason, he was on the ice for like 2.5 minutes during that shift. So was Willie. It's like they were begging Philadelphia to score so we can ridicule them. Like, just get off the ice if you're gassed. There's plenty of other guys who want to be in that ice probably. But he had some opportunities. There's just something off with the shot. If you recall the 69 goal season, every shot pretty much went in, and his aim is just not the same anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, it sure wasn't. It wasn't last year. Didn't really look to be great this year. I mean, he was a ghost all beginning of the season, right?
Yeah.
And then it looked like he found it for a little bit. Looked like he was back, and now back to being kind of blending in with everybody else. I can't act like I know what's going on. I can't act like I know about his health. Some inside type of people said, listen, there's no injury. He's healthy. And okay. I, to be honest, didn't like that news when that came out, because I was like, I don't know what's worse, him being healthy and looking this bad or him being chronically injured. So, yeah, I don't know, man, but you don't want to find yourself in a Mitch Marner position where the guy just turns down an extension and you decide not to trade him, and you just get left, holding your fucking. You don't want to get screwed by the guy again.
Holding your dick. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say you're standing there with your dick in your hand, but I thought about the kids for once.
Sorry, bud.
You just don't want to get into that situation where you're going to lose the guy for anything. I'm not crying that they need to deal him right now, but what direction is he going in? What direction is his value going? This is the entire last year was, he wasn't himself, and I think it cost them. And this year, more of the same. He got the feather in his cap to be the captain of the USA and win a gold medal, and that's great for him. But it's a tournament where you play 3 meaningful games. It's not. It only goes so far with me as far as helping out his pedigree and his stock and his abilities. And I've had question marks about Austin Matthews for a while. Yes, he's great at scoring putting pucks in the net and scoring a bunch of goals, which he's done in the past, not so much recently. And then just his ability to lead and his ability to get the team on track. Look at the fucking disaster this year is. There's no reason for it. And a lot of the time, it's the same stuff. It's just this snooze fest when you're supposed to be prepared and playing with a high level of compete. And I just wonder, like, are we married to this guy? And how long are we going to struggle? And what is his worth going to be if he decides that the time is not to be in Toronto anymore? And are we going to be able to, help the franchise out if that day does come? I don't know. I worry about it. And, at times like these, you reflect on the season and who you have and who's leading the charge. And you start to wonder a little bit. And I'm noticing that other people in the market are doing the same. And the narrative that never would have come up 6 months ago is now coming up. It's just interesting, but you watch performances like last night and it's just pitiful. And it's only going to generate that kind of talk, if you ask me.
I agree. And I just, what is Austin Matthews at this juncture in his career? Like, you look at the statistics this year, 26 goals, 55 games. He's got 51 points. So essentially, a point per game player on pace for 40 goals. Like, I know this is a different handling of like a superstar player where it's like, that's not good enough, a 40 goal campaign. But I think when you see those polarizing numbers, the way you did earlier on in his career, 60, 69, the expectation's like at least 50 every year. But for me, it's more so like noticing him or not. And there's more games more than not where I don't really notice the captain, Austin Matthews. And even that includes playing with Willie Nylander. It just seems like something's been off. But then I wonder about the fact that Craig Berube's been here for the last couple of years too, right?
I don't know. I mean, I've been adamant that, you go back to before Craig Berube got hired, they had their shots and they came up short in certain departments, and everyone said collectively, this is where we're coming up short. The teams that win the cup have a lot of this going on. We're short in that. We're going to bring in a coach that holds them accountable to play a certain way, to compete at a certain level, and to play with a certain amount of intensity. And that will be more playoff ready with this group. So you bring him in and they went the other direction. They said, no, we are going to do even less of that and get ourselves in this disaster. And to me, it's like, yeah, you still need to fire Craig Berube, and that's probably going to happen sooner than later. But I just can't help but think of, you had a lot of pieces and you were just missing a little something. And then you brought in a guy and then all this. So now what? You're going to go back to a guy that's going to let them just dick around and play loop and shoot hockey and try to win 6-5? Yeah. We've been there. And again, it is frustrating when you watch and it's like Austin Matthews is a superstar. You watch the other superstars in the league and they leap off the screen, and too often than not, especially this year, Austin's just blends in, man. It's a topic to talk about. All right.
Concerning for sure. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as you bring in today's guest. It is Bruce Boudreau. Gabby, thank you so much for doing this. I wish it was on better terms. It's so unfortunate this season is cooked. How stunned are you that this is the way this team has come out, specifically after it felt like they were gaining a bit of momentum prior to the Olympic break?
Yeah, I really did think, I'm the eternal optimist here, and even my optimism can only go so far, quite frankly. And the way they've played their last 4 games since the break was over is disappointing, to say the least. I think, if you go game by game, in Tampa, they could have lost 6-0. Just logistically, with 2 goals called back and Gensel missing the open net. In Florida, the game was over in the first 10 minutes. It was 3-0. In Ottawa, they went their performance in the first half of that game was so bad, I was wondering why they even came on the ice. And even last night's game, even though it was an overtime game, there was just nothing in my mind, nothing there. It's not a really good Philadelphia team, and they were missing their best player, and they lost a defenseman during the game. But me and my wife were talking, and it was just going, where's the enthusiasm? Where's the get up and go? It was just not there. So I agree with you guys in that there's no chance that I think that they can make the playoffs now. And at one point last night, and not talking about Austin, but I'm going, who's going to score for these guys? Like, I mean, you're looking at who's going on the ice, and I mean, if Matthews is not going to play with any excitement and jam, and the Nylander scored a goal, but who else is going to score? I find it a far place from the team that used to be. You look down the lineup and they could get goals from a lot of different sources, but I don't see it happening right now.
And who do you blame for that, Gabby? Like not being prepared to play their give a shit meter, their intensity, their compete level, whatever you want to, however you want to describe what we watch out there when the season's on the line and everyone's going, oh man, do we ever need one tonight? This is a must win kind of thing. And they just come out with a blank look on their face, get shelled. Like you said, it could have been 6-7-0. That's the performance you put together. Who do you blame for that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of blame to go around. I mean, it doesn't look like in the dressing room as a player that they have an emotional leader. Like, I mean, they got a captain, but I don't think he's an emotional leader that will, like, I mean, and there's not too many Sidney Crosbys out there, but you heard the stories in the Olympics that, I mean, after the second period, he'd come out and he'd say something of one or two of the games, and you would go out there like ready to go through the wall for them. So I don't think they have an emotional leader. I don't know the behind the scenes. Like, I mean, I gotta believe that Craig can get pretty emotional and everything because of the way he played and his personality. But it seems, this is what it seems like to me. And I don't ever aspire to have coaches lose their job because I know how hard they work and everything. But it's like a parent telling a kid that to clean your room or you're going to get punished. And so the kid keeps leaving the room messy, and then the parent doesn't do anything. So then the kid goes, you can tell me whatever you want. I'm not going to listen. I'm just going to go out and do what I want. That's what I think it looks like the Leafs are playing like right now. And they're looking like, you can't, whatever you say, it doesn't going to be affect me because you're not going to follow through with it or it's not going to happen. So, I mean, he's got to take some blame. I look at Brad Treliving. I mean, what moves have we made this year when we acknowledge that the team's not getting better? They got Troy Stetcher off of waivers, and I don't know if they've got anybody else like in a deal. Whereas I think it's important that you identify what you have early, and I know it's not easy to make trades and that, but you identify with what you have early, and if your aspirations are to go to and win the cup, then you try to get those things as early as you can. And I don't think the Leafs have tried that early enough. So, I mean, to put it in a nutshell, I think there's blame for everybody.
Oh, 1,000%. And I think just circling back on Berube, you've been around a long time. It's my belief that I think he's lost the room. I know it's cliche to say that in the hockey world, but do you feel that way as well?
Well, I think that's basically what I was saying, is that the players aren't last year they played a great defensive game and he had their attention. I mean, this year, especially, recently, I mean, they're not that their goaltending hasn't been that great, but they're allowing 4 and 5 goals almost every game. And he's a defensive minded coach. So it's a real, so to say that he's lost the room, I just don't know if they're paying attention to the way he wants to play right now. And they're just it seems like they're going through the motions. I thought last night, after everything, they would have come out, and like Philly hadn't won 3 games in a row since November or early November. So, I mean, and they're missing 2 players. Like, I mean, so I thought they would come out and just really hammer them, as I've seen them do in the past when things have gone bad, but there was nothing there. The second period, I'm going, what's going on? And then they had 2 shots on net through the first 7 minutes of the third, or the first 13 minutes of the third period, on a desperation type thing. So, I mean, I was a little upset, like just watching the game, that I would have thought there would have been way more desperation. So I agree with you. I don't think I don't think they're really listening that much right now.
Gabby, do you believe that this core group of players is capable of winning in this league with what you've seen from them?
Well, the core would be what Nylander, Matthews, Nyes, even though he's having a bad year. I mean, I thought he'd be close to 40 goals this year. I really did. And John Tavares is a really good player, but he is, I mean, what is he scored? 13 goals in his last 44 games or something like that, and he's getting older. Like, I mean, he can play, but guys officially, it's unfortunate. We get old, and that's what happens. So, I mean, their core up front is those three guys. Everybody else, I don't know. Their core on defense is built around 30-plus year old defensemen, and it arguably you'd say Oliver Ekman-Larsson is their best defenseman, and I didn't think that would happen. So I don't know what to build the team around right now, and that's probably a question that they're scratching their head about.
What the hell are they doing with Easton Cowan? What's your best breakdown of what's happening behind the scenes with Cowan? Like, in my view, like, if you're going to play him, 823 last night, just put him in the AHL at this point.
Listen, I've coached for 30 years, and my philosophy was always that if you can't play a young kid for 12 minutes a game, he's got to go somewhere else because he's not developing there. And that means if he plays 8:23 last night, that means every shift he takes, he's going out there more worried about, I can't make a mistake or I'm going to not get on the ice anymore, rather than, hey, listen, I was one of the best players in the OHL. I've won the Memorial Cup. I was a top-notch player. He's not playing with that confidence, and absolutely would have, when he sat out those games before the break and the first two games after the break, I would have had him playing in the American Hockey League, playing 20 to 25 minutes a night, because, as Jay knows, that's a good league, and you develop there. You don't develop sitting in the stands or sitting on the bench in the NHL. I no matter what they say, I have to have a disagreement with that. And maybe it's because I love the AHL, but I mean, boy, an awful lot of players got better playing a lot of minutes, and especially at this time of the year in the AHL, the play picks up even more. And I mean, as teams go and vie for the Calder Cup, so absolutely he should have been in the minors, or or play him, one of the two. Like what they're doing to the poor guy right now is not right.
Yeah. Now, as we start nearing the trade deadline here this week, Gabby, what's your prediction for what's going to be made with this organization?
I don't know. I'm just a fan like you guys, or you guys are a lot closer than me. But I mean, I would think, okay, in the meetings, this is that we're not going to win the cup this year. So we have assets, or we've got players. How can we create assets to get better without completely destroying our team right now? I mean, we'd wait for the summer to do that. So, I mean, I would definitely not, for example, go out and get a Panarin type guy. Like, I mean, because it's not going to do them any good. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs. So, to me, they've got some guys that they can move. I mean, I'm not big on getting third and fourth round draft choices either, by the way, because that's the 100th player from junior. And those guys, much to my chagrin, don't usually make it. They could hit a home run every now and again, but it doesn't happen too often. I would find a good young player that's playing well, that they know is going to be eventually a good NHLer. Like, who did they give to Boston?
Minton.
And Minton, and like that kind of player, and get him in here and play him as much as you can, and let him be a player for next year.
So I talked a bit about Craig Berube, and we'll get to the deadline, but I want to sort of get your perception, obviously, because you have so much experience coaching in this league. Well, what do you think's going through Chiefs' mind? Like, even at the deadline, that must be a crap feeling, that knowing that you're probably cooked and this team's preparing for the future and you're probably not going to be a part of the future.
Well, you know what? You try not to think like that as a coach. And I know one thing. I mean, for me, I wouldn't be watching TV. I wouldn't be watching podcasts. I wouldn't be listening to anything that had to do with hockey right now, because, I mean, you get too many opinions. And but I mean, you have to do your job. And the only thing you could do is continue to try to get these players to play to the best of their ability. If they win or not is really not the issue right now. You just got to get them to play to the best of their ability. And that's where I find that a problem, is I don't think they are.
Now, it's probably tough to coach in this situation, regardless of who you are, what your job status is. But as rumors start to fly and the season's starting to crumble and things start to get negative outside, how do you go about coaching the remaining 20 games here?
Listen, I was in Vancouver, where I knew I was cooked from day one. So, I mean, you've got to block it out and just say you're doing the best job you can. And it's a difficult thing, but you don't all of a sudden say, what's the difference? I'm not going to have a meeting today. No, you practice to win. You practice to do this all the time. You've got to do your job. And Craig will do that. I've had conversations with him about the Leafs, and I thought he was spot on last year when we talked about the team and what they needed and everything. But you can't quit coaching. The minute you quit coaching, then you're really cooked. And I don't see him quitting coaching. I think he's trying. It's just you got to find different ways. Like, if it's not getting through, you got to try to find another way, and then hope that you're still around next year to see what mistakes you've made and that the management team has made, and hope they have enough faith in you to keep you around one more year, to give you another shot. You're always hoping that you get another shot. Jay, you as a player, when things weren't going well, you still went out there and did your best, hoping, hey, I hope I get another year out of these guys. That's what we all do, right?
You bet.
You're right. Can't fire an entire team, unfortunately, and I think there's got to be a scapegoat. And I view Berube as a guy who's going to fall on the sword, unfortunately. But I did want to circle back, as I mentioned, to the trade deadline. Is there any untouchable in your world, like, to get grander with the conversation? If you're the GM or you're the Maple Leafs, are you open to all kinds of conversations? More so in the summer. I mean, you're not going to go out and say, hey, 34's on the block or 88's on the block. But where are you at with those two specifically and making a substantial change here?
Well, I was thinking last night that, if you did make a change, it would have to be for a couple of really good players on each of them. So if you got, I wouldn't even be thinking draft choices unless it was like the first overall potential. But you'd have to get 5 really serviceable players for those two guys. And I think they're really, I don't know what's going on with Austin. Maybe he just doesn't like Craig. That's happened before too. And when that happens, usually the coach goes. But I would wait for the summer, see how it goes right now. Matthews has 2 years left after this. Something's got to be done with him. I think he should be able to get back to his 50-goal scoring pace. I don't know why he's not. Maybe Mitch Marner made that big of a difference, but I don't know. Nylander, I think Nylander, it doesn't matter where he plays or who he plays with. He's so much individualistic that he's going to be great or really good wherever he goes. But I would keep those two unless you could find an unbelievable move for them. That's what you got to build the team around, is your best players. You're not going to build it around Max Domi. Not trying to be negative towards Max, and just he's not the elite player that you would be building a team around. And the Leafs don't have a defenseman like Matthew Schaefer that they could build their team around. They don't. they got to find that guy in the draft and hope it works. But I don't know who you build your team around with this team. I mean, it's they're probably saying the same thing upstairs every day. What do we do?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's so unfortunate, and maybe I'd be the first to admit we took the last decade for granted. And even though they didn't really have much success in the playoffs, and here we are, and we're staring in the face of the final 20 games of the regular season, a long spring into a long summer to maybe get back to a scenario where you get back into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But can't thank you enough for your time today. Great insight. Appreciate it as always.
Yeah, no problem. It's always fun talking about the Leafs. I mean, you know what else they need? They need a guy that goes out there and like Jay and can stir things up when the crowd is dead and everybody's dead. They don't have anybody like that anymore. Like, I mean, so they need something. I mean, as Leaf fans, we're all just going to go back and try to search for what it is. So, but thanks for having me on. You guys have a great day. But
do you not see an opportunity in the league, Bruce, for kids? Like, I look at players and everyone wants to take Willie Nylander's job, and it's like, well, they're not going to take that. Like, why don't you go out there, work your nuts off, hit everything that moves, throw everything at the net, fire up your bench, chirp their bench? Like, why aren't there more like agitators and power forwards and grinders anymore? Like, every team's begging for them, and it's there for the taking. Is this generation just not really into that, or what's the deal with no one wanting to take that role?
You know what? I agree with you. Like, I mean, I don't know why. All I know is when I can say this: when I got called up and I knew I wasn't going to play much, I was going to run around like a chicken with his head cut off. I was going to be every time somebody, when I was sitting on the bench waiting for my time, I am cheering everybody to come on and off. I'm being a cheer. I'm doing whatever it takes to stay there. Like, and it doesn't, and it looks like everybody, the young kids that come up now say, yeah, I'm here, but I'm supposed to be here. Like, this is where I am. I'm not doing what I have to do to stay here. And that's bothersome, quite frankly.
Very well put. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Bruce.
All righty. You guys have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, bud. See ya.
Bye.
Surprisingly optimistic, Bruce Boudreau. I like that. Great insight. I mean, he's lived this for a long, long time, been in that position Craig Berube's been in. But so one thing I fall back to is like, what the hell is going through Chief's head right now as he gets set for the final 21 games of this season, the trade deadline, knowing my day of execution is coming and there's nothing I can do to save my job?
I'm more concerned that someone like him thinks a player like me is what's going to help the Leafs. So that's why, if we're at that place, ooh, baby, we got problemos. No, it's interesting talking to him. He's so easy to talk to. He is a fan. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have skin in the game, so he's not pulling his hair out. He doesn't care. It is what it is. He's a fan and isn't as invested as some of us get, but certainly has a ton of experience. Yeah, I don't know with Berube. I think what he said the other night is kind of his last. Well, you know, I've had this on my mind and I haven't said it because I'm trying to salvage things, and they've butchered and you know, given away this entire season. Now it's done, and he just said, "Hey, listen, I try to get what needs to be got out of these guys, and I show them the video, and we go in our meetings, and I raw them, and I tell them what it needs to look like, and they're just, I can't put their heart into their chest. They just won't do it." And that was really telling to me. I thought that there was going to be a lot bigger deal made out of that by the market, by the media. I think they missed it or didn't see it. But that to me was everything. He's going to leave and he's going to go have a beer with some buddies after he gets fired and says, "Oh my God, I mean, I can't do it for him." Right. There was a thing. It was very clear what they were missing in the organization. They had good teams and some players, and they were missing a certain something. We've watched enough elimination games. We've watched enough do or die games. We've watched enough trap games. We know what they're missing, and they need to commit to these things. That's why I was hired. And he's going to have that beer with his buddies and shake his head and go, "They fucking refuse. They refuse to do it. They won't do it. I can't put a heart in their chest. I can't put balls between their legs. I can't do it for them. I gave them every opportunity to do what was needed, and they just refused. And I see the same goddamn thing when I watch the team. I see the same thing, and I firmly believe that they're in the place they are at right now for that reason. And just the scary thing is what's going to change here. You're going to bring in a different coach and move some players around and get some draft picks. I agree with Gabby too. Like, draft picks aren't helping you for years and years. If you're lucky, we need players. We need prospects ready to make the jump. And I hope that's what they're on the same page for, because it's the only way you're going to change this culture with the same couple of guys in there. And I really feel for Craig Berube, not because I think he's the Messiah coach or anything, but because I think they did the right thing. He was the right hire. They needed to play the way that he wanted them to play. And just like Gabby says, maybe his only fault was not demanding enough and not holding them accountable. That was the reason Sheldon Keefe got canned, is because he didn't hold them accountable. They ran the show. They ruled the roost. There was no consequences to anything that they did out there. Lackadaisical, shitty turnovers, no give a shit meter. There was no consequences to that. They needed accountability, and they brought in Craig Berube to play an accountable, strong, heavy, snotty playoff style of hockey. They did not do that, and maybe Craig is only guilty of not holding them accountable enough. It's hard to say right now, but I just worry about the future, because I believe, based on everything we watched with this group, that was the answer. That was the last piece of the puzzle, is to bring a Berube and have them adapt that style of play. And simply the players absolutely refused.
Once this chapter is done, I would love to have Craig Berube back on this podcast, but unlikely, because he'll probably be still being paid by the Maple Leafs. And I would just love to know, like, a bit about what happens behind the scenes. Like, accountability was such a monster word we used to describe Craig Berube, and that's sort of what I gave flack to on a daily basis, Sheldon Keefe. And there really haven't been many examples of accountability, at least publicly, from Craig Berube. Like, the big thing that stands out for me, Morgan Rielly, he should be in the press box. I think you got to push aside the fact that he makes $7.5 million and just comprehend sometimes that this guy is just not part of your top six, and you got to put him in the stands. Like, decisions like that, Nylander, the numerous turnovers, the lackadaisical play from all the superstars, like he really hasn't, and I know it's a different era, but he really hasn't pushed back on that the way I thought he would, where it's like, man, you remember when he came in, we're like, man, enough of the bullshit. It's over. Craig Berube's here. It's been the same old country club, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does kind of seem that way. And, coaches like Craig Berube, they've needed to adapt to stay in this league because, let's face it, a 23-year-old kid now is not the same as a 23-year-old kid in the year 2000. They're more emotional. They're more fragile. They're softer, and you can't be as hard on them as you could be in the past, for better or for worse. So you have to tread lightly. But with that team and their leadership and what they've gone through in the past, I would have thought as well that, listen up, the bullshit, it's going to stop here. You guys want to win a cup, and he would rally them and get them together and get them on the same page and get them to see the light. And maybe he did. Again, we're only privy to the post-game interview and watching from afar while he's on the bench. We don't know what's going on in the video sessions and the private meetings and the one-on-one chats. We really don't. But what we do know is that whatever he was preaching, whatever he was selling, they weren't buying. I can't believe that they needed to play with a little more snot, with a little more edge, with a little more intensity, with a little more character. That would have gotten them over the hump in that Florida series. That would have gotten them over the hump in the previous series that they have dropped. And I think that was unanimous around the media, around the market, and from everyone that had anything to say with the Leafs who have watched them. They're like, that's kind of the missing ingredients, the teams that move on and what the Leafs don't have. Bring the guy in. And instead of adopting that mentality, instead of kind of like being a chameleon and turning into a team like that and listening to the message and trying to adopt that and adapt and play that style of hockey, they just went the fucking other way. It was more ho-hum, more What? Yeah, must-win game. Yeah, not in our minds. Everyone else but our minds. Start on time? No, fuck. We'll get down 2 goals because we're dicking around in every sense of the word on the ice. And then, with 8 minutes left in the first, then we'll give our push. Then we'll start the lawnmower and start trying to see, even though we're behind the 8. Like, how much of that could you see to realize they weren't willing or they're not capable of adapting that style, whatever Berube was preaching, man? And there's nothing left to do but fire him now. You're not going to go on and like magically make it happen now, but fuck. I don't know, man. I just wonder. I'm really curious to see what happens this trade deadline. I hope it is splashy.
I hope it's not splashy because that tells me they're going to do something stupid. Like, just get rid of your rentals and move on with life. Okay. I just hope they admit defeat. I really do. And that you kick the can down the road and you come back next year. I don't want to see some stupid trade where you're giving up assets to try and maybe, I don't even want to say it. I don't know. I'm scared. And I've been saying this for months. I'm scared. You've got to put yourself in the position of the parties involved. Like, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but Brad Treliving, you don't think he thinks his job's on the line right now? And that's what scares the shit out of me. You can make some really bad decisions already by thinking, hey, I got to do something to save my job. And so, like, for me, it's pretty simple. The rentals, McMahon, Lawton, see you later. Simone Benoit, depth defenseman, see you later. Please, somebody just take Calle Yarncroke. Please, somebody just take Nick Robertson so I can stop talking about Nick Robertson on a monthly basis. I'm just at a point where it's time to gut some of these guys, exodus out of the roster, and turn the page, turn the chapter, because clearly, like, this waiting game with some of these guys has not worked, okay? How long have we been waiting for the Yarncroke trade? For a year and a half. Robertson for 5 years now. It's just time to turn the page to the next chapter.
What about OEL?
OEL is a tough one for me, and it's not because we're buddies.
Because you guys text, bro. It's because you guys text.
Yeah, we text. But to me, it's a tough one unless somebody blows your doors off and gives you an offer that you just can't say no to. If you want to compete next year, where are you finding a player of Oliver Ekman-Larsson's value where he's making $3.5 million per season? He's a top 3 defenseman, we'll call it for you. He's been the number 1 guy this year. And yeah, it's fair to say regression is going to be part of the conversation. He's only getting older by the day. But I don't know how you replace that value, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, the only way I'm making that deal is if the return is just too much and you're like, I have to do it. Because I think it's hard to find guys of that cloth, that ilk, who play with that mustard on the back end and the leadership quality and, winning the Stanley Cup. So that's the way I view it. How about you?
Yeah, I know. I just feel like he's the only way to really get some weight back. Like, okay, maybe you can get a first rounder out of Bobby McMahon. Cool. So that's it. I mean, you're already down. What do we have? Do we have a first rounder even next year, and then not the year after? Or do we not have a first rounder for 2 years?
2 years. 28's the next one.
And it's like, those are the only type of guys that are going to make change here in the next couple of years. And I might be willing to sacrifice next year. I might just be willing to roll the dice next year. If you can get a prospect who's going to be ready, maybe you get a first, a second, and a prospect for OEL. Like, I would jump on that. I think OEL is only going to go the other direction. I like the guy, and I agree with you. Like, if you're moving on from OEL, who the hell's playing D for you? I get that. But you had OEL and Carlo and Morgan Riley and Jake McCabe playing D for you this year, and it was a disaster. And OEL was playing out of his ass like he was 20 something. Mm-hmm. I'm not putting my chips on the table. That's just going to be his new default as he turns 30, whatever. No, it's not. You're lucky he played that way. Still didn't help you. So it's hard, man. I just lean towards, I hope it's splashier, and I'm willing to sacrifice next year to make a splash and to do what's right. And I just can't help think that if they're going to fire Treliving, why the hell would they let him handle this deadline?
That's exactly it. Again, I'm just speculating. I think the most likely scenario is Berube gone and Tree Living's back. Because again, to your point, I don't know how you let somebody handle a deadline of this magnitude where you're selling off pieces for the future, make these decisions. That leads me to believe the decision has been made. But again, we have no idea. I know a bunch of the insiders have been asked, and some have said they don't know. Some have said he's staying. So it really is a polarizing debate in this market as to where this team is headed. But I hope they don't do too much, because the concern is there for me. But we can talk about this all week. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION, must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. Vegas Buffalo tonight. I'm going to play Jack Eichel, the shot prop. He has been not good, I would say, since coming back from the Olympics. Vegas in general, licking their wounds post-Olympics. Guys sick, not playing. I think they turn things on over the next little while, and Jack Eichel revenge game, I think, could spark that. So I'm going to play Eichel tonight, maybe anytime goal and the shot prop.
Ooh, I got a little parlay. Winners, Montreal, Colorado, Dallas on their money lines. 3-leg parlay. All three of those teams will be winning this evening. That is my bet.
I like it. Nice.
Different.
Dialed in for this segment today.
I was looking it up previously, so yeah, putting a little homework.
I love accountability. Shout out to my boy George, one of the best UPS drivers I've ever met, the only UPS driver I've ever met. Made a point to reach out last night because I had the over for that game, and he said the over, ha ha ha. And I said, dude, I didn't have a bet for that game. I didn't want to watch that game, so I gave the over because the Leafs sucked defensively, and naturally the under hit. So thank you, George, for the accountability there. I was wrong.
Was that on the chat, or you said he's your UPS driver?
No, this was the bet I placed. He was listening to the podcast yesterday after the fact, and
is he your UPS driver? You said.
He is the UPS driver in the neighborhood I live in. We've become friends. I'm playing on his baseball team, I think.
Your UPS driver's ripping you for your Bet365 picks on the show?
Yeah.
Yes! I'm on Team George. Love that shit.
Fuck that guy is my response. No, fuck George.
Good stuff.
But yeah, it's all part of the accountability conversation, and we hope to have more of those combos moving forward. You're gone tomorrow. You're back Thursday. So I touched base with Berkey. Berkey's going to come on Thursday's show. Dave Pagnotta, perfect timing, will be co-hosting tomorrow. And Aaron Ward, former NHLer, is going to drop by and dish on the deadline from the Maple Leafs perspective. So that's coming up on tomorrow's edition of Leafs Morning Take. Oh, the Leafs have 2 games this week, too. Don't forget that. They got the Devils and the Rangers. Nobody cares.
Can they just forfeit the season? It seems like they want to.
I don't know, man. I was really excited after the break. We got 2 weeks off. They look good, decent enough. I mean, the back-to-back in Alberta, we got things cooking a bit in our part, but no, they didn't have an answer, and it's been very disappointing. They played 4 games post-Olympic break. They have 1 measly point. Pretty interesting stuff, Rosie. We'll talk on Thursday, buddy.
See you guys there.
Sounds good. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. Thank you to Bruce Boudreau for dropping by today's show. Again, Aaron Ward coming up tomorrow, Brian Burke on Thursday, and a programming note, too, on Friday. We're going to bring you a 2-hour extravaganza from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. So the final bell hits, and Leafs Morning Take is going to be Leafs Afternoon Take coming on Friday, Rosie. So looking forward to that, and hopefully neither of us are in the washroom when the Leafs do something.
Who cares if we are? I hope they just do something that makes sense that everyone can get behind in some way, shape, or form. Nonetheless, I think there's going to be some dramatics, some fireworks, and something to talk about, so I'm looking forward to it.
I think we do the stream from the shitter. Like, we really throw a curveball, and we're both on the shitter doing the show.
I might be on some kind of a shitter. I have got a playoff tournament with 2 games that day, and I am squeaking in the deadline show. I have no idea where I'm going to be doing it yet, but I am excited for it. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to make it happen. So fingers crossed that I can get a space to check out what Mr. Tree Living is going to be doing at the final buzzer of the trade deadline 2026.
That would be sick if you're on a Zamboni doing the show, like riding around the Zamboni, you're waving to the crowd, but also on the stream. I think that'd be good for value of this show.
I should try to do something cool. We'll see. I might be forced to. I am blowing in the wind at the moment, so
Okay.
I'll find something. I'll find something. Tune in to see where I'm at.
I like that. Nice tease. That's going to do it, folks. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.